Welcome back to another Action Game Maker tutorial. Today I'm going to go over the game scene and just explain everything you need to know about it. With that said, let's get started. Alright, so here we are in the benchmark sample, and I'm going to just show you exactly what a game scene is representing. So if you click on this plus button, you can select a game scene, and you can just create one. So we are presented with a ton of these nodes, and we kind of need to know a little bit about what they do. So this is your main game scene node, or you could call it the owner node of this scene. And this you can rename, so this would normally be the level name, okay, of the map or whatever you're doing. Then you have the scene layers, and what I'm going to do is hold shift click and then let go of shift and click, and it's going to kind of fold them all up, but then only show the one at a time kind of things. And you can see that we have all these layers, but you can see that they are actually parallax 2D types and that there's multiple of them. And then if you click into a parallax 2D type, you have in some cases a sprite or in some cases tile walls, but you always have an object root node in these, all right? And so what I want to show you how these apply is, let's take this parallax 2D node and let's go into PGM. What this parallax 2D node is representing is it's representing when you go into a scene settings and you adjust the scroll speed. This is almost the same thing. Just imagine the node as the scrolling enabled or disabled of this. If you don't need any scrolling in a particular layer, then you can literally just grab the object root node out and you can delete the rest of it because you don't need the parallaxing in that layer. Now, if you do need parallaxing, then you would assign the sprite. Also note, you can also do parallaxing with tilemaps. So you can choose to do a sprite or a wall. You don't need to use this specific setup right here. You can make your own system out of it. And so that kind of leads me to the next thing, is that within these scene layers here, and by the way, I'll just put this object root node back into here, or actually I guess it was, well, I guess I just duplicated it. So I'll just delete it. And let's just go and show these again. So you can see that each of these represent a layer, and it would be the same as this right here on these tabs. So when you create a new scene right here in PGM, you get 4 layers. And that's basically what AGM is doing when you create a game scene. It's giving you 4 layers, and each of them have a parallax 2D. But the only thing that makes it a layer, the thing that actually makes it a layer is the object root. This is what is actually making it a layer. And the reason why is because the object root is where you actually assign the objects, and specifically the game objects and starting point. So I'm just going to assign a game object of the player. I know that the player is a game object because it has this icon. Also, if I hover over it, it says type game object. If I go to its scene here, you can see that it is definitely the owner of this is a game object. All right, so go back to this scene. The other node that I can have in here is I can have what is called, and this is just an add node, a start point. All right, now a start point is going to start a game object on here. So you want a start point inside the object root because you want the object to spawn in that object root. So the 2 types of nodes that go in here are game objects and start points, right? I don't need a start point, so I'm just going to delete this, but I wanted to let you know. All right, so since the object root is the only thing that is required, you could, like I said earlier, pull this out and it would still be considered a layer. You just would not have any parallaxing on it. So let's just start deleting some of these things. And by the way, whether you use a tile wall or a sprite, it does not matter. It also doesn't matter where you want to have these. This is just for convenience of where that sprite or tile map is going to show. If the object is right here in this one, it will show above this sprite, but it will show below any tile walls in this tile layer because visualizing is from a top-down approach. And the most bottom one is going to be the one that shows the closest to the screen. And so that is one way to manipulate it. There are other ways, such as ordering and things like this, but let's just stick with just what these layers are offering by default. All right, So we don't need any of these. So I could technically delete them all. And then I have an object root node, and this would be representing my layer. So I would need to add the player again right here, and that's fine. But this would totally work if I went to play the game, is this would represent that I have one layer. Matter of fact, it does not even need to be called an object root node. You can literally call this layer 1. I like to have object root in there somewhere because it just makes more sense. So I would be more like object root 1, something like that. And then I could add, let's add another object root and call this 2. And then I could control D and duplicate more layers. These would each represent a layer. All right. Now there would be no real visual benefit to this other than objects that are in root 2 would show above objects in root 1. But you can see there's no tile mapping, there's no sprites or parallaxing at all. This would just be a bare bones system. So let's move on to other things that are required. The post effect layer, this is a canvas node. You can see it's type CanvasLayer. And what this means is that everything is going to show on the camera itself. And so you can see that we have a local post effect here. This is going to be a required setup for your game scenes. So don't delete this because this is going to allow the visual scripting for scene effects to take effect. So if you use noise or mosaic or blur or darken, you're going to have this node on the scene. So you do need this node. The UI and the UI object root node, you can see that this is just a type object root node. They just renamed it to UI, representing that these are going to be things that are shown on the camera because it's on a canvas layer node. This setup right here is completely optional. If you don't want it, you can delete it from your scene, and this would be like a minimal setup of a scene. The next thing that you do need is you do need a camera, all right? So this would be an example setup of a scene, and I'll just delete these to show that this is the bare minimum setup of a scene. And we can actually even test this. So if I Control S and save this as, I'll just do level name here and save. Go to scene transition, go to the level name scene, drag it out here, and make it my start scene. And then if I press play test, we'll see that we should see the player right here. And if I go to remote here and I click on the level name, because this is the level that we instantiated, and then the scene, you can see that I have my object root layer 1 with my player, and we have our post effect and all that good stuff. All right. So now let's say that just to show for testing purposes, let's add in those object root nodes, and we'll name this number 2, 3, and 4. So now we can see how move layer works within these. So I'm going to go to my player, the visual script here, and we're going to go to attack, and I'm going to add the move layer option, and I'm going to say I want it to move to layer 4. I'm going to click add. So now when I attack, it's going to move to layer 4. So we'll click on this, and then I'll go to remote view here. I'll bring this up. So right now, you can see that because I can unfold this, I have the player in this root 1. So when I press attack right here, you will see that it changes to object root 4. So the layers go from top down. The first one is going to be layer 1, and then it's just going to work its way down like that. So I think that clearly lays out how these are. You basically have your layers. These object root nodes are representing the different layer tabs that your objects can go back and forth from. You can set up the actual visuals however you want, and this is a good base, which is why it comes like this. But you can delete these sprites, you can add tile walls however you please. This is just the bare minimum you need. And then the move layer works from top to bottom, as in top is going to be layer 1, and then bottom, it's going to just go down from there. This is the bare minimum of a setup that you would need, is something like this. And anything else that you add, whether it's, let's just say that you want to add a portal, you would add it on this top level. It actually wouldn't matter if it's the top level. You just wouldn't want it anywhere within here. You would want it just kind of outside here. Another one that I can just think of is, let's just say that you have a menu scene. Any menu scenes would come out here. So I have a menu scene in this one, I think. Just type in menu. Yeah, let's just try this. So nope, that's not the menu scene. There it would be, let's see, menu right here. So menu scenes, they all come out here. They actually don't show on the post effect or anything like that. They show outside right here. And if you go into a menu scene, which this will be another video, you'll see it has a canvas layer itself. So that is why it would show on the camera, even though in the scene, it's kind of its own little node. But yeah, that will be another video. I just wanted to let you know that the object root node only takes game objects or the start points. So yeah, this is all that you need to know for how game scenes are set up. If you have any questions, you can comment below. Go to the official forums discords. We'll get you figured out. That said, I'll see you at the next video.